Hello Year 7, so I'm just making a quick revision video for you that you can apply to all of your subjects. So yes, this can be used with anything from RS to IT, any subject that has content that you want to remember and then use it effectively in an exam answer. So I'm going to use the example in geography of Shenzhen, which is one of our mega cities that we've studied, the main one that we've studied, and this is a really simple 4-step revision technique called chunking, as well as doing some active revision in order to remember the content and put it into an exam answer. So the step 1 here is to spend about 5 minutes. So you can annotate here on your, if you're writing this down, if you're copying this down, that this would take 5 minutes. So time yourself to mind map, or whatever way you want to do, bullet point, list out, any way you want to visualize the information, what you remember about a topic. So the way I would do it is I would make myself a mind map and I would put Shenzhen in the center of that mind map, and probably I'll do like a sketch of the shape of what I know China looks like, and then I just maybe do a little arrow showing where Shenzhen is located, just making it visual for myself. I know it's in the southeast of China, in the Guangdong region. Okay, so just anything that I know about it, and I'm going to put that information into one specific color. So for this particular activity I'm going to use red. Make sure you have plenty of different color pens or pencils ready for you to do this. And what do I know about Shenzhen? So what I know is that it went from it was a small kind of market town with a population eventually becoming a city of around 1 million in the 1900s, and now today I know that the population has gone up to a significant number of around 12.5 million. So that means that it's a mega city, right? So we can put down the word megacity here and circle it, and you can add in any images that help you to remember this. This is a very small space that I'm working with here, so your mind map is going to look much neater than mine. Anything that you can think of to put down to show that you are living in a city, right? So, you know, factories with lots of workers going to them, and your skyscrapers, large buildings like the Shard, obviously not in Shenzhen, but large skyscrapers will be things that you would expect to find in a megacity or a city in general. So we know it's a megacity. We know that one of the reasons the population grew significantly was due to the fact that the government wanted to improve life across the country. So they made they created pull factors. You can draw yourself a magnet, and those pull factors were to attract people from rural areas. So you'd be expecting to attract people like farmers. Draw a person with a rake sowing crops. So they would have attracted farmers, and they would have attracted people living in rural areas to live in the city. So that is a pull factor. So pull factors set up by the government, like creating jobs in factories for people in Shenzhen, brought a significant number of the people in this to this city. So migrants live in Shenzhen, and there's a significant number of people in the city, around 4 million migrants living in Shenzhen. What we know is that they don't live in Shenzhen during the weekends. They only live there during the week. So their week is spent in Shenzhen, and then they are forced to go home on the weekend for whatever essential services that they need to access, like schools, healthcare, anything that they would need to sort out, for example, to do with their national status. So if they needed to get some documents for their local council, they would not be able to do that in Shenzhen, and this is because the government didn't want people from Shenzhen living there. So I've just brain dumped a few things that I know about Shenzhen onto my mind map in one color. Now, what did I forget? So if I go back, I'm going to what I'll do here is I'll probably take a 5-minute break. So 5-minute break, have a Kit Kat, whatever it is, and after you've done that, after you've had your nourishment, you can go and come back and spend another 5 minutes putting in another colour what you forgot. So I'm going to do this one in green this time, and I'm just going to show you some information about Shenzhen. So here's some information here. So let's see what we included and what we forgot. So for example, 1980 was the time when Shenzhen was given free market freedom, which meant that they could attract people from all over the country, they could attract businesses, and they could make sure that migrants wanted to come and live there. And that meant that the population went from, you know, under 1 million, about 60,000, to 12 million today. Right, so that is some information that we had, some information that we didn't have. I'm going to be putting some of that into my colour green. And then we have over here 4 million residents stay in Shenzhen, so we had that information, but we didn't say that that was 33% of the population. Tech companies are some of the companies that are typically attracted to the city itself. And then if I kept going, I would find information, for example, about hukou, being the registration that you've got in your city or town, and that in cities like Shenzhen, migrants were not allowed to have that registration. So that's why they had to go home for whatever essential services. So spending another, let's say, 3 to 5 minutes annotating over your mind map. I'm just going to add in here anything that I missed. And what I missed was that in 1980, the population was actually 60,000, and it skyrocketed to become about 12 million. Now after that, I'm going to add in information about the tech companies, and whatever tech companies you want to draw here that you could think about. You could think about Apple, for example. I should really be drawing that as red. So tech companies like Apple, like whatever tech companies you know of that work with computers, IT, they have attracted those migrants to live there, okay, during the week, and then end up going home. And then we said earlier on that 33% of the population are migrants. That's a significant portion. That's also a numerical statistic that you can include to use as numerical data. And then finally, hukou, being the registration, the paper document, whatever they've got to prove that they live there. Alright, so that is the reason that those migrants have to go home from Shenzhen on the weekend, access whatever services they need to access. So we've spent about 15 minutes, we've remembered what we know, which is obviously going to be something that makes you quite proud of what you remember. We've then spent 5 minutes having a break. We've then spent 5 minutes about going back and adding in what we forgot. And then we're going to go and spend another 5 minutes having another break, chunking our time, and do whatever you need to do, chat to your family, tell them what you remember, tell them what you forgot, maybe speak to a sibling, and then come back and commit it to memory. So how could you do this? There's a number of techniques that you could use here. You could create yourself a flashcard. Alright, so lightning symbol here, flashcard. You could create yourself you could create yourself a mind map that you create from memory using those two pieces of information, or something that's a little bit more organized. So you could use more mind maps. Create yourself a PowerPoint document on a computer. It's up to you. What you want to use to make your information a bit more visual is what I recommend, because if you can remember that information and link it to an image or song or whatever it is, it's going to be much easier for you to remember that in the future. You've spent 5 minutes now putting this information into flashcards or another mind map or onto a PowerPoint document, making it visual. Another 5 minutes break, and then we need to think about some exam practice. So you come up with an exam question that you think this information could go into. Go look through your notes, and an example of an exam question that we could write here in purple would be explain how Shenzhen became a megacity. So what you might need to do this is go back and look at what a megacity is. We know it's a population of 10 million or more. We need to look at how Shenzhen was not a megacity before 1980. So that information over here that we came back to is going to be useful. And we need to go back and look at how Shenzhen became a megacity. So companies attracting people to live there, and people then having somewhere that they can work, make a better income, get a better income than maybe they were getting when they were farmers. So it's really, really important that you practice putting this into exam style answers. Make yourself some sentence starters, go back, try and write out everything fully under timed conditions. So practice writing it, and then time yourself again. Alright? So I hope that this has been a useful video to show you some of the techniques that you can use to revise in any subject. This can be applied to whatever subject you need it for. Okay, best of luck with that.